Where does that go, Bernard?
I don't remember.
It was an absolute delight to direct this episode. Our crew is incredible. They work tirelessly to bring these worlds to life. The writers, the directors, the actors, every single person on the crew, their drive for perfection is so relentless. We couldn't do what we do without every single member pulling and giving it their all.
These new labs, previously unexplored by the audience, previously unexplored by Bernard, are just another facet in the mirror reflections that the show plays out.
We knew that we wanted the environment to immediately feel different than what we've seen before, both in the way that the space looks and feels, and in the way that the characters interact with it. We love the idea of robots being left alone in the dark to conduct experiments.
The thought that's gone into the rationale behind the technology and the way the technology fits into the storytelling is really well considered by Jonah and Lisa and our writers.
I had this beautifully designed chamber, but it's circular. It's a strange kind of room. So much of what the host went through first season was we talked about how they're on loops, how they're in a track that repeats and repeats. There's a circularity to that. And this room is the manifestation of that idea. And so that's why I wanted to start with a record player, which is its own loop. From that, you pull up and you slowly start exploring the room. You're only seeing what is being revealed to you as the camera starts to pull back in its own circular motion. That was important to me because it echoes the limitations of the humans within that room, in this case, Delos. It is a story that is slowly being unveiled to him over the course of time. And I wanted the camera to mimic that slow unfurling of where we are and why we're there. And I thought that that was a more fitting image for introducing this character in his own little cage.
Bernard, did you have something to do with this project?
I don't know.
Pretty much as soon as Elsie's found, she's trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with Bernard, and pretty quickly she realizes that he's a host and that he's not doing well.
Bernard's relationship with time is distorted, so it's all readily available, and he's trying to decipher what is the present, what's the past, and what's the future.
He's trying to sort through his memories and understand what has happened.
Bernard is experiencing this kind of cyber existential crisis about who he is, where his allegiances lie, with the hosts or with the humans.
He's remembering things that happened in the past and trying to figure out how it all fits together.
They weren't building hosts. Not exactly.
Behind a locked door, we start to hear strange noises, and as we go in there, we find the Delos experiment gone wrong.
He's part man and part machine. I don't think we'll ever find out where one ends and the other begins.
One thing that I tried to incorporate directorially was I loved playing with mirrors in this episode. As you see him every loop go stare in that mirror as though he can't really quite reconcile himself with his own reflection.
This is the project the park has been working towards. Not developing hosts to become ever more like us, but a path for humans to become ever more like them in the ways that we value their immortality, their durability, their adaptability.
If you aim to cheat the devil, you owe him an offering. That's the biggest issue, is the whole question of immortality. James Delos believes that he could and should live forever.
It hasn't worked out so well for Delos, of course. This is the problem with reducing the human animal to data, is it's a little more complicated than that.
We end up finding him at one point where he's just gone insane, and he's literally just ripped his face apart.
And you find him again staring in a mirror. He's destroyed his own face as though he's trying to rip his mask off and see what's underneath.
I forget how many prosthetics, maybe 10 or 12 appliances were put onto his face. Luckily, Peter was great and got a kick out of it.
He actually had some thoughts on where these appliances would go, because he's kind of figuring out where he would be scraping, and it was pretty gruesome at the end of the day.
As he's staring at Bernard, as though they're the reflections of each other, both of them are forced to understand we both have monsters inside of us. Everybody has a monster inside of us, and everybody has an angel too. And it's about who are you going to be? And that is the struggle of this season for so many of our characters.
For the first time, I get to decide who I want to be.
The idea of this kind of cyclicality was something I also repeated in the final fight scene. We situated Jeffrey in the middle of this vast room and let all of the action orbit around him as he saw all the drone hosts killing all these techs. And then finally, we did this push-in on him, where you realize that he himself has killed. He's trying to do the right thing, both for hosts and humans, and he finds himself in the middle of no man's land.
Is everything okay?
Everything's fine.